In this video, I'll cover a new little tutorial that I put together for Jam.py, which includes a file that you can copy and paste into an AI generative chatbot to help it learn in context how to use Jam.py so that you can build applications with it more easily. So the tutorial is here at compute.com. It's compute with a dash in the middle, .com, /Nick, and then /Jam.py_tutorial.html. I'll have another link for this also in the description if you have any trouble getting to the tutorial. So there is a text version of this also, which is the same link except with text, exact same content, and the in-context generative AI is here in between some dashed lines. In the HTML version, you can look in the contents and then click on this tutorial to teach generative AI to use Jam.py, and there's a link here. The same text is included within the tutorial, but this little file link, Jam.py LLM introduction.txt, is everything you need to paste into an LLM AI chatbot to teach it enough to understand how to use Jam.py. So you can just copy, select it all, and paste it into your favorite AI bot. I had the best success with Grok. So you can see here I pasted in this text and asked it to please read and learn from the attached text, then respond. And the last question here in this text was, do you understand from this text how to structure code in Jam.py? So it responded here saying, yes, I've read and analyzed the provided text, and so on, and it gave some examples of what it understood, and it actually gave a little bit of a basic example here, how to include a template in your index.html file, and things you needed to do before, and then some JavaScript code and some Python code. And I also sort of copied the explanation in the tutorial that explains how to run the application. So I pasted in this prompt. And basically, I asked it to create an application that would enable me to enter a bunch of questions and a set of responses for polls that I could build for the users of the application to take. So you can read the prompt here exactly. Asked it to make some styling that looked more like kind of taking a poll on paper. And it went through its thinking. And the first thing it told me to do was install Jam.py, which it got from the tutorial, run the server. And then here it told me to create a questions catalog with the task name of questions. And it gave me the fields. So a question text field, and then an options text field, each of different sizes, where we're going to store the answers to questions. And then it asked me to create a responses journal with these fields, a question ID field, which was a lookup field that references this questions catalog, and we want to display the question.txt, and then another field called answer, which is a text field, and another field called submitted at, which is a date time field with a default current date time. So it did understand how the builder is set up, and you can see what I did here as I went to my builder, and we put together here a field as it, or a set of fields here as it requested. So I have an answer text field, question ID, submitted at with date time. And you can see here that the question ID is a lookup item in the questions table. And in our catalog section, we've got a questions task with a question text column and an option column. So then the next thing it instructed to do is to update the index.html file, and it gave a template here. You can see a set of templates, one for poll and one for the results. So two divs there called poll form and poll results. And then it also recognized that in order to do the charting, we needed to add chart.js, so that was included here, and a little description about how that worked. And then it gave some front-end JavaScript code for the questions task in the client module. So I copied and pasted that, and you can see what it's doing here is emptying the form and appending our poll template that we've included in the HTML. And then we've got some functions which are being called in the back end, returning some values from the back end, and using the templates that we've included. Again, here another server call to our Python function in the back end. It explains a bit about how this works, and then it gives us the backend code. So in the questions task, a server module with these functions that have been called from the front end, and it does a good job of entering the data into the database. So I did that exactly, just copied and pasted exactly from the example that it provided us. This is the exact code, and there's the exact Python code provided by Grok. And then it asked me to go through and add some sample data. So I did do one little thing here. There were a couple of errors, but they were simple. The first thing I did was I changed this clone and append routine here for bringing in our custom HTML templates, because I did need to actually adjust and create some questions. So you can see here's the custom HTML, and by default that was the only thing on the page. It had cleared the default template that was created by Jam.py. So what I did here was show it again momentarily. I created some questions. I can create a new one here. Let's try do you like Grok? And we'll give it some answers. Absolutely. A little. And no feeling about it. And then let's make this a little natural feeling about it. And then not at all. Okay, so now we've got some questions separated by commas. You can see we've added that. I'm going to go ahead in my builder and again just sort of I'm just going to hide that, empty the default view form, save that. Let's restart our application, and now you can see we've got the new question, and you can see it's included some validation in the script that it provided. We have to answer each of the questions, and when we complete the answers, we submit, and it displays a response and then the poll results for each of the questions. And we have a button here to go back to the poll. And we also have a button on the main screen to just view the results. So the only thing that I ran into when using Grok here is I first got a response from the server that the backend function only takes 2 positional arguments, but 3 were given. And what was going on there, I looked at and it did a good job of figuring out what was needed here. What was happening initially was that these responses, which is a list, wasn't being included. That list was not being included in a list, and it did figure that out all on its own. Somewhere down here, kind of went through what we needed to do. Let's see here where that call is. It did actually provide that answer. I'm having trouble. There we go. So I went through some thinking and eventually did come up with that answer. Had me do some console logging to make sure we could see. But even without having to post those results, it did come up with the correct response. And so that worked. Provided some other ideas about how to debug, but that was it. So really effective. There actually was one other issue. When I first did this, it was showing all the poll results for each of the questions. So for example, when I looked at each of those, it had all of the answers, daily, weekly, never, USA, Canada, Mexico, and so on. And absolutely, it included all of those chart bars for every single question. So I explained that to Grok. Said that the chart is displaying results for each of the questions, and it did a little bit of thinking and provided some code. So you can follow this. I'll put a link in the description for the video, so you can actually watch the entire Grok interaction, and even provided here some other ideas about how to validate. And with the examples you see in the working Jam.py application is exactly the code that it generated, just with a few questions. So I think that's pretty good, successful result. I did do this also with GPT and with Gemini and a few other AIs. They weren't as immediately successful, so I think if you want to try this, Grok is a good model to begin working with. It seems to have gotten from the text file everything it needs to be able to build applications, and it seems to have a really good grip on even how to work with the visual builder. So hopefully that's helpful, and we'll get you started working with Jam.py, or even help you out with maybe some difficult issues working with it in general. Having the help of an AI like Grok that really understands the framework can save a lot of time getting projects done. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.